Hi everybody, so back on the F-14, I'm going to look at painting the undercarriage bays and some of the weapons. So we're going to start off with putting a white on the undercarriage. This is the nose, and this attaches to the bottom of the cockpit. That's why you can see it in the back there. So I'm just spraying white all over the place, just to give it, it's the right colour. Then I can work on adding some more details once this is all painted. So yeah, you can see me spraying all the white there. Don't know why I sprayed that white, because that needs to be silver, but hey ho. We've got the actual undercarriage legs there and some of the other undercarriage bulkheads. Once everything's painted white, I can start now by doing a wash. So this is just a homebrew wash with some low odor solvent thinner, some Abtilug Starship Filth in a bottle, just mixed together so it's a runny consistency. Now I can start highlighting all those parts. The actual paint would have been protected with a gloss coat, and I just used the Winsor & Newton Galliera gloss and matte varnish. It's really good stuff. I just paint it using my Neo through a 0.3 airbrush, and I just paint it neat. It goes on beautifully. The flat's really flat, and the gloss is really glossy and protects the paint really well. So I'm just picking out all the small points there, moving on to the next bits that I know will need it. So these are part of the main undercarriage bulkheads. Again, just picking it out. Once all this is done, I'll let it dry, and then I'll look at removing it with a damp cotton swab and just leaving it down to create shadows. And you can see that's what I'm after. You see, I'm removing it, and I'm leaving all the dirt actually in the nooks and crannies, and it's helping to create that depth, that mucky look that I'm going for. Next up, I'm going to be looking at doing the weapons. I've decided to do it this way because sometimes when I get to doing the weapons, I sort of like, I want the build finished, so I don't put my all actually into doing the weapons. So you can see I'm just cutting them off. These are going to get glued together, and for the rest of this video, I believe it's working on the engines and the weapons. Again, these are some of the rockets. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, so I'm working on those and all the other bits and pieces, and they are the Phoenix. I didn't know they were that. Okay, so I'm not that up to speed on a lot of the weapons that modern jets use, but I suppose I should really look at going a bit more up to speed with them. So you can see I'm just clamping together and going around, gluing them, clamping, gluing, clamping, until I've got, what I require, which is a good fit. And with these two-part weapons, you can see at the back there's a seam line. So what I'm doing, I'm cutting a circle of plastic card out and basically forcing that into that area to give me a back of the, it's got no seams. I've got a pin vise and I'm just using an old needle that I'm using to score around, okay, to give me that circle, and then I'll trim it down some more and then I will glue it in place and hopefully get a better result than what's in the kit. Once it's ready, I can then put it into the actual back end of the Phoenix. You can see in there I'm sanding it down. I'm creeping up and getting it because I want it nice and tight, because also I don't want a seam line going around the actual bit of the seam that's going around it, really. Don't know the best way to describe it. I'm trying to replicate this just solid piece and not two pieces joined together. So you can see there I'm just pushing it in, and now I'll run a bit of glue around it, and it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what it was. Once everything's together, it was primed with a grey aqueous primer. I think it's the 1000, the actual acrylic type, and now I am just doing some pre-shading. So I'll be doing some highlights, some lowlights, just to again add some depth to the actual weapons and all that sort of stuff. It helps build up that it looks grimy, it looks worn, it looks real at the end of the day. And I'll do this for all the weapons I've got and all that sort of stuff. So now I'm looking at the actual colours for these weapons, and as you can see, those 4 parts there, they're actually where a lot of the bombs and what have you sit underneath the actual aircraft. So they're like the pylons. Some only have the front 2, and some don't have them at all. So they have got just a different lighter tone. And I'm adding that lighter tone to the pylons for the sidewinders. So they've got a slightly different tone to the rest of the aircraft and the actual pylons themselves. So again, just building it up in light coats to make sure it's nicely covered and it all looks as it should. Now with this same colour, what I'm doing, I'm adding some highlights to go underneath the paint. So you can just see I'm just randomly spraying on the drop tanks, just to, again, it's to create depth and make sure it doesn't all look the same and not monotonous, because a grey, bland grey colour can really look boring. So I'm just helping to add some more depth to these parts. now we're moving on to the main colour for all these parts, and this will be sprayed on in light coats. Again, it's going to be help to accentuate all that work that I've already done. So it'll be going on light coats, and you can see I'm doing splotties randomly at the moment, and then I'll slowly build this colour up so it covers the whole part. Next up, decals. I really don't like doing decals on weapon sets and stuff like that. So you can see I've got Set and Sol by Micro Set Industries, some cotton board, a brush, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm just going to cut the parts out, drop them into some water, so they're totally wet through. Okay, I'll leave them in there for 20 to 30 seconds. Take them out and put them on a clean kitchen towel. This will just wick off all the extra moisture. Get Microsoft set, put it up Microsol and Microset, so the set first on the actual parts, and then I'll just slide the decals in place when they start moving. Sometimes it'll take a while for them to move. I'm just getting rid of the end there. But you can see it's starting to come off now, so you can either peel them off or you can pull them off like I've just done. Put them into place and then move them about so you've got your decals on there. Once they're all set, I would then put the micro sole on there, and that'll help them bed in. Next up, after we've done a gloss coat, I will then start doing the highlights, the wash, so it'll help highlight all the nooks and crannies. Okay, so I'm just using a neutral wash here. Okay, so it's just neutral brown, quite light, and into all the nooks and crannies. Once this is done, again as before, I will get my cotton buds and gently remove all of the excess wash. Now it's time to have some fun. So you can see I'm trying to show you there some of the actual tanks and what have you that really grimy. So I'm going to try and replicate that. As you can see there, I've just put some grime on there. Reason I'm doing that, these drop tanks might would sit within a cradle when they're not on the aircraft, and those I'm assuming could get really mucky. So I've just got my wash there. I'm just dabbing it on, and then I'm going to start with a dry brush, just blending it in. So gently blending it in, either with damp brush with thinners, or with a dry brush if you want a more extreme look, just to give that look as if the actual drop tank is being used and it's filthy. Keep wiping it off so you're not spreading too much about, and you can just see I'm going back and I'm working it, dabbing it down with a stiff brush really, just to help, you know, get it really embedded in there so it looks really good and really grimy, because that's what I'm after. I'm using the tissue paper there just to help smudge it and blend everything in really nicely, to, you know, to get it all there, and so it's not too stark. Again, it just makes it look mucky. Hopefully you can see now that's looking all nice and grimy, potentially where the cradle, it would have sat in the cradle. Okay, making sure both of them are not symmetrical. Now is to add some other dirt. So what I'm doing, I've got a brown sort of tone here, and I'm just adding a little bit of dirt in there to, you know, with my airbrush, just to say, you know, bits might have leaked, gone everywhere, and it helps add that depth again. Next up is a slightly darker tone. Okay, yes, excuse the camera wobbling. So now I'm adding just a darker tone just in the central area of what I've already sprayed. Again, all I'm doing is adding some dirt and what have you to the actual drop tanks to make it a bit more interesting. Again, this is just my interpretation. You can do yours whichever way you want, whether it's clean, mucky, or, you know, just have fun with it. Next up, using watercolor pencils and other pencils, I'm going to be adding some scratches, some dirt, just with, you know, drawing it on the actual drop tank, and then using a brush with water, and I can help dilute that, spread it, make it more of a streak like I've just done there. Okay, again, dabbing it with a tissue paper helps to blend everything in, and hopefully you end up with a nice effect. Well, I'm hoping so anyway. want to add a little bit of like oil staining or fuel staining, I've just got the lid, and all I'm doing, I'm just dabbing it around where I feel it would go. Get some enamel thinners and then just dabbing it in, you know, making it spread, making it a little bit thinner. Go back, add some more, and just rinse and repeat. Once that's all done, you end up with all your weapons already painted, ready to detach to your aircraft, and you don't have to then worry about it at the end of the build. So these have turned out really well. I'm really happy with it, and I can't wait to see them on the actual aircraft. So next up, engines. I've already painted them a white inside, and now I've masked all the petals off, and I'm going to attack these with a darker tone now inside the petals. Once that's done, the masking will come off, and then I'll move on to the outer part. I lost footage of doing the outer part, but you can see I sprayed a silver or a metallizing type colour, and then just added the black. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add some shading, okay, and some different finishes. So in that jar there's a lot of pencil shavings. Okay, so all I'm doing with an old, well not an old one actually, but special makeup type of applicator, you can see I'm just using the pencil shavings to actually highlight those petals. It gives them a bit more of a sheen, and believe you me, it looks a lot better in real life than it does on there. So I'm just giving them a sheen. If you go too hard with this, you can just wipe it with your finger and it wipes it off, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just trying to add a little bit more depth, a little bit more realism to the actual parts. Now this part was quite scary for me, so I'm using a clear red and a clear green. Heavily, it is a green in there by the way, it looks yellow, but I'm actually mixing that together to try and give me like a burnt orange sort of colour. So I'm going to add this to my airbrush, and then I'm going to spray it onto the lower parts of the petals, and hopefully what I'll be adding is a little bit of a burnt sort of effect. Okay, this is just really watered, just gently put it on there, and again it's just to add a little bit of depth to the actual engines themselves. So next we need to start looking at the inside of the engines. They're already painted and had a wash in there. They're painted white and then we wash. I've got some oil paint in there, so it's just a smoke Abteilung oil paint with my brushes that I'm going to be using, and I'm also going to be using some charcoal, which you'll see later on. So first off, all I'm going to do is just pour it in there, and then I'm going to get a brush and I'm going to blend that in. That brush has got nothing on it, it's just a dry brush that I'm blending in to help give me that effect that the engine is actually being used. Okay, then I can go back in, start blending it in even more. Okay, I will be coming back to these in a bit, I believe, but then I'm just going to work my way around, blend it in, blend it in, blend it in, and it's going to help give me that look of filth, of burn, it's flames being in there, so soot, really, because that's what it is, it's soot. So yeah, after I've been all the way around, okay, you can actually see inside, that's starting to look filthy in there now. Now I'm going to get some charcoal. I'm just going to rub some charcoal in there. You don't need anything in there to actually make it stick, because it's going to stick to the wet oil paint. And again, I'm trying to just replicate that there's soot in there. You can go as heavy or as light as you want with this. I'm just doing it so, you know, it looks how I want it to look. Right, so again, you can see me there, just all smudging it about and getting it in there so it looks all worn and used. And once that's on the aircraft, okay, I think that should look really, really good. After this, I will then start looking at the actual nozzles themselves, and I'll be doing something similar inside there. So you can see these nozzles, okay, they're actually very, very similar to the inside of the engine themselves. So now I'm going to do exactly the same. I've got some smoke and some starship filth. Starship filth is a great grey colour. So all I'm doing, I'm just putting a dot at the end of each of those white petals and then just blending it all in. And again, this is just going to help give the illusion of soot and use inside the actual nozzles themselves. So we just keep working at it and working at it and tailoring it to the way we want it to look, you know, dusty or not. If you wanted a nice clean effect, you wouldn't do this, but I want to make it look like it's been actually used. Okay, and also you can put a bit on the outside, just a tad. Okay, and then again just blend it in with your brush. Okay, blend it in. Again, you just add in that little bit of dirt and grime to the actual engine nozzles themselves. And once it's done, I hope you agree, they actually look really good. I think I've done quite a good job. And once they're on the aircraft, they'll look the part. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.